Because this is the business that you and I are in. We're in the business of changing lives and turning stems. You know, if you fast forward from Beethoven arriving in Vienna, a few years, he writes this great Fifth Symphony. And we all know this piece. And I love the story that he has to tell with this symphony. You know, this fate knocking at the door. You know, we've all read that, we've all heard that. These 3 G's and an E flat. And the reality is that, when I talk to non-musicians about this, I explain, here's the deal. I talk maybe a little bit about the 8 rest at the beginning, how it propels the 3 notes forward. So there's an energy right away in that piece. And they get that. But the 3 G's and the E flat, what in the world is that all about? Well, what it's about is that the C is missing on the bottom. And the C does eventually get there. But Beethoven, over and over and over and over again, and I know Jill was counting how many times, I thought it was 188, but it's more than he uses that over and over and over again in that first movement of this piece of music, and it hammers at you. He's really the most economical composer you've ever imagined. Over and over and over again. And you get the sense that I don't know what this is, but whatever this is, it is relentless. This thing is powerful, knocking at the door. This thing has you by the throat. This thing is not letting go. It's like that movie with Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, you know, where they kept saying, who are those guys? Over and over and over again, this thing happens. And then it finally comes to rest. And maybe just like that kid, we all sit in the audience and go, holy mackerel. What was that? Maybe you can't put a name to it. You know that whatever it was not nice. It was some challenge. It was some obstacle. It was not nice. And then Beethoven, because he understands, gives us a second movement that is exquisite. You know that music? Beautiful. My favorite part. It becomes a duplist of a triple. Oh, man. I used to sing that to my godchildren, and I keep my kids when they were little, you know, trying to get them to go to sleep. Listen, we are faced as human beings with some sort of challenge, some sort of obstacle, some sort of difficulty, that our response should not be to panic, but to ponder. And sure enough, in that moment, he says, take a deep breath, and I will give you a moment to ponder. Who among us doesn't have challenge in their lives? Anyone? So I will give you a moment to ponder, not panic. And then you know that third movement, you know, that sort of starts in the conservation. You know, makes its way all the way up to the clarinets, and then there's the fermata there. When I talk to non-musicians about it, I say, sort of like, it's like gravity. The ball is throwing the ball up here, it just sort of stops there. You look at this thing going, it's got to drop. But Beethoven's not here, you're convinced yet. So he starts over. Starts again in the basics with this little melody. He sings it up, this time to the highest voice of the orchestra. And there it sort of sits. And the big question is, what? And then the ball drops and the horns go, ya ba 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 ba. You know that spot? You know, of course, that it's the same. It's so cool. He takes that challenge. He takes that obstacle. He takes the motive that describes that very thing that we were afraid of in the beginning and uses it for the voice of defiance. And it says to whatever it is, I am not afraid of you. I am so not afraid of you that I'm going to use the very essence of you to prove that I am not afraid of you. Powerful, powerful stuff. And then there's that little scherzo in the middle. It's like, I call it laughter. It's not ha-ha laughter. It's the kind of laughter that says, when I'm faced with this difficulty, and I only have the option of to succeed or to fail, that I only have one option. Because no one, other than my nephew, in his right mind, chooses to fail. No one does. And so there's this sort of giddy laughter. Okay, then we have to do this thing. We have to defeat this thing. We have to learn this scale. We have to solve this math problem. We have to learn this spelling list. Whatever it is, we have to do it. And then the last movement comes, which is magic. First of all, there's no break between the last third movement and the last movement. And there's just this low sort of rumble connecting us. And we hear these little excerpts from that scherzo that the television basically did earlier. But the timpani player is playing in the back. It's so cool. And then finally the last movement happens, and you all know it. Do, mi, so, fa, mi, re, do, do, re, mi, do, re, mi, fa, mi, fa, so, la, so, la, mi, do. Sorry, you sing it. You gotta go back to school and sing to my daughter. That stinks. And you think to yourself, what's Beethoven doing here? Is he trying to demonstrate that he understands music theory? He gives you the arpeggio, the miso, and then he gives you the second half of the major scale, fa, mi, re, do, re, do. And then he says, well, if you don't get it, I'm going to give you all of it. Do, re, re, mi, do, re, fa, mi, re, do. Gives you the whole scale. And then the bass is going, la, fa, mi, fa, mi, re, do, la, fa, mi, fa, mi, re, do. Everything is sort of pulling us back to the C. The C was missing in the opening. What Beethoven is saying to us is, I'm giving you all of this because I really want you to understand that we're no longer in the C minor, we're in the C major. That's E flat from the earliest, now in E natural. Will that change your life knowing this we need to A natural? Nah. But knowing that we're feeling the sense, the power of this C major, as opposed to a challenge of that C minor in the very beginning, you hear this thing and you go, yes! I want to be a part of this. This is me. This is what I was intended for. This is what happens when you get to this moment in the second. You go, yeah, that's who I am. I wasn't that thing that was afraid at the beginning. I am this. I was built for this. That is life-altering, life-affirming, stem-changing. That's the business that we're in. That's the meaning of music. And this is what someone said about this Beethoven symphony. They said that there is in the world music of more sophistication. Of course there is. But there is none that so surely makes itself understood. None that so surely, absolutely makes itself understood. He said, there is music magnificently employing orchestral resources Beethoven did not know. Instruments had not yet been developed. But there is none that speaks more powerfully. There is simpler music, but none that's so naked and shameless, so clearly and with such terrible intensity, exposes the tempest and triumphs of the human soul. Shaken by a frenzy that must have demented a lesser man, Beethoven nevertheless restrains within a beauty and symmetry of form the passions in whose fire this music was begotten. And perhaps it is this very restraint, this iron hand that the composer lays upon himself, that most commends this music. For we are all hedged about by the tricks and trials of fate, by the disciplines and necessities of living. We all. Therefore, in uttering so superbly his very self, Beethoven speaks for all of us as we should want to be. Powerfully affected by the world around him, and it would make itself known in his music, and we would be all the better for it. He would say, I'm a human being too, and I get this thing called life. It is often joyful, and it is often equally not. But what was it intended for? It was intended to make us better human beings. It was intended to make us understand that we are intended for things like beauty and passion and enthusiasm. So there has to be a way for us to translate this to a kid who's playing the clarinet like this. There has to be a way. Because it will change his life. And it doesn't start with me. It starts with you. You know, I'm in front of some of the great orchestras in the world on a regular basis. I just conducted the Philadelphia Orchestra last week, and I look at that orchestra and I think to myself, they started the same way. We all started the same way. some person who is like you exactly, who put their arms around us and surrounded us and said, I'm going to show you a path to who you were supposed to be. That's what you do. You ever heard the whisper test? Ever heard that? Good. Because I brought it. I love this story. Actually, my friend Rocky. She's a young lady who, I don't know what her last name is, but we know that her first name is Mary. And this is to give her a little account of the whisper test, the hearing test. She said, I grew up knowing I was different, and I hated it. I was born with a cleft palate, and when I started school, my classmates made it clear to me how I looked to others. A little girl with a misshapen lip, crooked nose, lopsided teeth, and garbled speech. When classmates asked, what happened to your lip? I tell them I'd fallen and cut it on a piece of glass. Somehow it seemed more acceptable to have suffered an accident than to have been born different. I was convinced that no one outside my family could love me. There was, however, a teacher in the second grade whom we all adored, Mrs. Leonard. She was short, round, happy, sparkling lady. Annually, we had a hearing test. Mrs. Leonard gave the test to everyone in the class, and finally it was my turn. Bless you. I knew from past years that as we stood against the door and covered one ear, the teacher sitting at her desk would whisper something, and we would have to repeat it back. Things like, the sky is blue, or do you have new shoes? I waited there for those words that God must have put into her mouth, those 7 words that changed my life. Mrs. Leonard said in her whisper, I wish you were my little girl. Kid had a grown-up who was a teacher who turned her stem that moment because she surrounded her and said, I don't care what the obstacle is in your life. I have obstacles too. But I want to tell you that you were built and intended for something much more profound. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you that it is an honor to be in your presence because I know the work that you do. I know that sometimes you sit there and think to yourself, oh man, this kid comes in here again. I know that happens. But that's okay. I just want you to remember that you are in the business of changing lives and turning stems. I don't know that there's a higher calling than that. Thank you very much.